we get started, I just want to make sure that we have everybody in the system who is attending for our meeting minutes after we're done. I also would remind everyone that this meeting is recorded because it is a public meeting and we are in virtual format. And so I just want to make sure everyone's okay with that. And with that, I will have Ryan explain a couple of things before we get started. Ryan?
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Once again, this meeting will be recorded. I'd like to introduce a couple of housekeeping measures. To reduce the amount of background noise, please stay muted until you are ready to speak. At the time you are ready to speak, please state your name and affiliation for the record. I'll start by taking roll, starting with the board members. After I say your name, please state here or present. I'll begin with Chairman McFoy.
Present.
William Sunderland.
Present.
Gerald Kelly.
Present.
Deneen Jackson.
Present.
Ray Nosworthy.
Present.
Thank you, board. I'll now move to other regular attendees. Charlie Martirana.
Present.
Damon Rand.
Present.
David Hill.
Present.
Doug Fultz.
Present.
Kelly Lieb.
Present.
Peter Merlo.
Present.
Claude Arab.
Present.
Bill Ferguson.
Present.
Lisa Foti.
Present.
Jack McMahon.
Present.
Stephen Waldvogel.
Present.
Dustin Steiner.
Present.
John Davis.
Present.
Beth Sheeler. Nathan Martin.
Present.
Matthew Adam.
Present.
Laura Littlejohn.
Present.
Thank you. Damon Sykes.
Present.
Thank you. For those in the room that I may not have called, could you please state your name and affiliation for the record, and we can capture that on today's meeting minutes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. John Craig. I am the Executive Director of the 8th District Dental Society in Western New York.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Cryan. I'm a pediatric dentist and the incumbent president of the 8th Erie County Dental Society.
Good morning. I'm Pat Paloy. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner, most recently employed by Maine Pediatrics, now retired.
Thank you. That takes care of the room. I see there's a number ending in 7726. If you could please unmute your line and state your name and affiliation for the record.
Sure. City of Buffalo Comptroller Barbara Miller Williams.
Thank you, Comptroller. If there's anyone else I missed that's joining us virtually, please unmute your line and state your name for the record. Otherwise, Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Ryan. All right, so board, we have in front of us and was mailed out previously a draft agenda for today. And one of the things that's happened between us mailing out this agenda and receiving it this morning is that we did receive approval to proceed with the construction of our fluoride restoration. And so I want to make sure that we get that in as item 2A. And also, I know we have folks here who want to speak. We have, as we always do, our public comment period. And so we can follow right after with that, if that's okay with you. Is that all right? Okay. So we have 3 individuals present that would like to speak. We will have that as number 3 under our public comment period. And then for item 2A, if we could put in approval of our public water supply improvements for fluoride. Is there any other additions?
Yes, Chairman.
Yep.
Peter Merlo, Principal Engineer, Secretary to the Buffalo Water Board. I'd like to remove item 6, residual system improvement project time extension, just because the required paperwork isn't in yet, and we can actually move that date next month, so it's no rush. That's still happening, but again, I don't have the documentation to show you as the exhibit, so just to remove that at this point instead of tabling it during the meeting.
Appreciate that. Okay. We'll remove item 6 as a recommendation. Is there any other recommendations for modifications to this agenda?
And Chairman, 2A was
2A would be approval of public water supply improvements for fluoride.
And 3 was?
3 as is public comment.
Oh, it's the same one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just putting in 2A.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend executive session for litigation purposes at the end.
Okay, we will have, following monthly report from Veolia 11, so we'll put that in as 12, executive session to discuss litigation matters. Any other changes, modifications? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as so amended?
Sunderland, so moved.
Denine, second.
There's a motion and properly seconded. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Denine, aye.
Kelly, aye. Osborne, aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to item number 2, approval of the minutes from the meeting of December 20th, 2023. Board, if you would, please take this opportunity to review the minutes one last final time. I know that these minutes were mailed out to you ahead of time, but if you would take this time to review them.
I'll do it on that.
All right, board, if you've had an opportunity to fully review, is there a motion to approve the minute as so presented?
Sunderland, so moved.
Denine, second.
The motion and properly seconded. Any further questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Denine, aye.
Kelly, aye. Osborne, aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll now move into item number 2A. Board, again, this is something that we've been working with our engineering division. We're finally in approval of the plans for our public water supply improvements for fluoride. We received that notification on Thursday afternoon. We are definitely excited to kind of move that forward. This is something that we have been working at exclusively, and I know Peter and his team has been doing a really good job at this one. And so, Pete, if you could just give the board a understanding of what the project is going to finally entail and the kind of the time frame.
Sure. Again, Peter Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer for the Division of Water. The Floyd Improvement Project, in fact, we just met yesterday to really kick off construction. We met with our contractor, which has already been procured. We are able to, because we're using the existing mechanism for maintenance funding, this is under that guise, we're able to have this contractors ready to go. We have the final plans and specifications approved. Basically, that dictates what they're building. And what they're building is they're going to be taking the existing fluoride system that was never implemented. They're going to make sure that's working. They're going to be adding additional pumps per DOH requirements and also installing new piping, both inside and outside, to the new application points. And those are post-treatment. And we have 2 application points that where our treated water goes to. So it's improving and putting the liner in the storage tanks. It's installing new process piping in the fluoride control room. And then also it's the process control piece. You always hear the term in our industry of a PLC. It's a programmable logic control, or it's just a computer. And these are the things that control the devices. How our operator can sit there, monitor the water quality. It's under his license that this is happening. He then can also monitor the amount of fluoride that's being treated or being input to make sure it meets the guidelines for the amount in terms of parts per million that we want to see in our effluent. And we can communicate that both digitally with that operator and make sure we have the redundancy. So it's storage tanks, transfer pumps, metering pumps at the location, and day takes at the location of the application, in-process piping. You'll see typical Schedule 80 PVC piping. There's going to be a lot on inside. There's going to be a lot that's buried underground per a typical engineering detail to make sure that that piping doesn't move, doesn't break, can handle winter frost line, etc. One of the key and most difficult pieces of this is actually installing the piping inside the 90-inch conduit. Because that manhole, we have to send divers in there, and we can't right now turn all the flow off in that conduit, so we can't shut that off. So a diver can go down there and operate safely to hook that up. So we are working with that. We're going to be adjusting plant flow. We're working with our engineering consultant to handle that. Those are the particular pieces. So what we're doing is we're going to have a project schedule next week. We're looking to have it about 6 months to hopefully have it where we can turn it on, including operator training, as well as these are comfortable with what they're using and what they're pushing. So that we're going to have that on paper next week. We'll have milestones that we can report back in terms of the progress, whether it's pump procurement, equipment, progress on construction. We're currently finalizing the cost estimate for that. We're probably talking a couple $100,000, but we're putting that together. Again, this is all moving very fast, and we're not stopping away for a cost estimate to make sure the contractor's moving, because what's going to stop us here is a limiting factor. We can have everything else out of the park. We got to make sure, and with Doug, myself, we'll work directly with Veolia, the city, to see if there's any hiccups. And we have a full-time engineer on site overseeing this installation and construction. We need to see if there's any red flags and try to resolve those as soon as possible. So we're watching this. We anticipated a lot of red flags ahead of time. We already ordered several key pieces of equipment that we believe are long lead items, which are items that take a long time, especially nowadays with material deliveries becoming such a challenge in every industry. I don't think I have to share that. So I think we, knock on wood, address that, the tank liner, the injection quills, which is a very special piece of equipment where the process piping comes into your main line, cast iron, duct iron, or manhole, and is injected in there. How that happens is very intricate. So there's pieces like that. Again, it's not to get too detailed, but I want everyone to kind of understand what this entails. It's not like all of a sudden I'm going to go over there and turn a switch on the wall and fluoride on. I wish it was that easy, but what I will tell you is we will keep you updated on that schedule and make sure we deliver it. So, hey, we're moving forward. That's the good news.
All right, thank you very much, Pete. I know you're working with a number of consultants as well as our in-house team with, led by Veolia. And so we appreciate that. Board, do you have any more questions on this? We know that this has been a major topic for a long time. So it is good to see this in motion. It's good to see the approval at the state level. And now we can move forward. Any questions?
What was the last approval you had to get?
It's really only one approval. It's from the Department of Health. They're the authorizing agency that if we're doing any improvements at this facility, they have to approve it. Right now, the approval is to construct it. We need subsequent approval from them to turn it on to make sure it's built according to their approved plans and specifications. There's a lot of concerns in terms of potential siphoning, potential any process hiccups if things go wrong, to make sure that there is no chance of this contaminating our potable water supply. So there's a lot of thought that goes into this and a lot of details to make sure zero chance of that happening. Not 1%, not 0.5%, zero.
Understood. Thank you very much, Pete. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, we will close that item agenda, and we will move on to item 3. And is there a particular order that you all like to speak?
I'd like to go last.
Okay, whatever we go. You first, sir?
I'll go first. Good morning. My name is Dr. John Craig. I'm the Executive Director of the 8th District Dental Society, which represents the 8 counties of Western New York and over 1,000 dentists in the region. We're one of the 13 components of the New York State Dental Association that's also supported by the American Dental Association. As you know, and probably read in the paper about a year ago, we were all alerted to the lack of fluoride in the Buffalo drinking water. That was a major concern, and for 8 years, the public was not aware, even though it was reported in the annual water report in fine print that fluoride had been removed from the system in June of 2015, which is a total of 8 years. So we have a long gap, and studies have shown that if you have longitudinal loss of fluoride, it can have serious health concerns to the dental health of your community. Last week I shared, and last month I shared a recent study that was in the Journal of Dentistry in May of 2023 that was done with 30,000 military people in Israel, where in Israel they turned off fluoride in 2010, but then they also litigated free dental health to the community, or the government authorized free dental care. In that study, they basically found that there was very significant carry issues in terms of cavities with those 30,000 individuals. And so there is a direct correlation between public well-being, health and safety, and oral health care when you don't have fluoride in your water. So I wanted to share kind of a recent study because it kind of mirrors what's happened here in Buffalo, unfortunately. We're going to be going on in June, once it's reinstated, a 9-year gap in terms of not having fluoride. And I think the real concern from the dental community was that dentists didn't know, parents didn't know, and so they couldn't properly fluorinate kids, give them tablets and different kinds of varnishes to help support that process. So that was very unfortunate. But what we've tried to do is inform the public. We've worked with the dental school. We've worked with the Erie County and the New York State Health Department to raise concerns and issues. We've worked with Buffalo Public Schools with the dental school to try to get information out into the community. We've worked with the ADA and NISDA on trying to find relevant studies. We've worked with Dr. Cryan, who's a pediatric dentist, who provided implementation strategies. So we developed materials that we sent to our member dentists as well as non-dentists on what action steps that they can take to hopefully help support the system. But we have seen a large carry rate in the Buffalo proper area over the last few years, and I know my colleagues here are going to talk about that. But I wanted to give you kind of a quick overview. In 2021, the National Institute of Health put out their 20-year study called Oral Health in America. And what that said is really that we've done a really good job in the last 20 years of supporting the oral health of young kids 5 to 18. And we've done a really good job in supporting older adults over the age of 65 and above. And part of that is directly affected to Medicare insurance that's allowed for dental health care. But what we're not doing a very good job is with adults 19 to 64. 50% of the American population doesn't go to the dentist. I think that's a fact that a lot of people don't really recognize. Half the people don't go. So if you're not going, and we know that Buffalo residents certainly have some socioeconomic conditions, they might not have a dental home or a dentist where they can get work done. So if they're not getting any kind of dental support, they're certainly not getting the support of fluoride over a 9-year period. So I think the young children who maybe started kindergarten and are now maybe in 10th grade, I think those are the kids that are going to be most affected from the lack of fluoride. So we're probably going to see this for a longer period of time for those as they enter young adulthood. So I know our professionals locally are very committed, they're very engaged, and they want good patient care. So we're happy to see that we've made movement on this. We're glad that the Water Authority and the board have moved forward. We have been in contact with the State Health Department. We know that there are plans and movement going on, but it's been a year. And so now we're kind of like 18 months it's taken us to get from not knowing to having something in place. So I appreciate that the plan is going forward. I think that we need to keep the public updated on if there's ever going to be a elongated problem, if it's not going to happen until fall. And because children leave school in June, it'll be important for families to understand that over the summer, that it's not going to be in place in the summer. It might not be until the fall. So I think we have to keep a pulse on what the timeline is and letting the public know. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
This is kind of a medical question. Fluoride, it protects the teeth. Is it actual contact time on the teeth, or is it actually when it's ingested in the body?
I'll defer that to our dentist.
Thank you all for having me. My name is Amanda Cryan. I'm a pediatric dentist, a board-certified pediatric dentist. I am part of the American Association of Pediatric Dentists and part of the 8th District and Erie County. So thank you again for having us. We appreciate it. And to answer your question, it is both. For children, as a pediatric dentist, that's why water fluoridation is so important. It helps not only all of us when we drink the water, topically it helps affect our teeth and strengthen it. It boosts the pH of the water, so our teeth are able to remineralize the outside surface of the teeth, the enamel. And by doing that, it makes the teeth a little bit stronger against the bacteria that cause cavities. For children, until the age of 12, their teeth are developing in their body. So the fluoride helps integrate into their teeth that are forming, and it helps the outside surface of our teeth, called enamel, form not just hydroxyapatite, but fluorapatite, which is, I believe, up to 23% stronger enamel. So that was a great question, Bill. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. One of the things is, as we know, a lot of people drink bottled water, and there's no fluoride in bottled water, correct?
Correct. So a lot of bottled water does not have fluoride. There are some sources that do. There is a brand called Nursery Water that does have it available with fluoride. And you can ask for, Wegmans used to have their own brand that they made that had fluoride, but they no longer carried it in the store as of 2021. But there are some bottled waters that do, but the majority do not. And that is why tap water is so important for our residents. And so I thank you guys again for having us here. And for Mr. Merlot, thank you so much for such an in-depth about what is going on and how being on top of this for our community. You guys are making a huge difference, and the faster we can get it back into our water, the better. For cavities in children is the most common chronic disease over asthma. And it makes a profound difference in their daily life. Children miss school daily from cavities, from pain. They're constantly in our emergency rooms because of abscesses and infections. And we see them in the hospital. I do surgeries at the hospital where we take care of children as young as 2 years old up to the age of 8, and sometimes a little bit older under general anesthesia. And when we take children there, we do not take it lightly. We are taking care of not one tooth, not two. Children have 20 teeth in their mouth, and sometimes it's all 20 teeth with abscesses and infections. So little things like drinking water might sound like a silly thing. It is a huge thing, and you guys are making a huge impact on our community and are ones that are most affected. Some children in our community don't even have their teeth brushed by an adult, don't have access to daily brushing, not let alone fluoridated toothpaste, things that we might take advantage of on a daily basis, 2-3 times a day for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. But that isn't what is common in some of our community. And so drinking water every day, the effects of it not only decreases the likelihood of having cavities, but it decreases the intensity of the cavities. So everything you guys are doing and moving this forward for our society and the dentists in our community are really thanking you for this, and we really appreciate you guys having us here today. You know, as a personal note, like, this is really cool to be here for me today. I have lived in the city of Buffalo for the last 20 years, and I recently just moved out to East Amherst. But I would run by this beautiful building every day through the South Park on my little run, and to be inside is very inspiring. And, you know, my oldest son, he just turned 9, and to find out that he did not have fluoride in his water for the first 8 years of his life was really saddening for me, because I have every access to modern care and the top dental things at my dispense, and the fact that I wasn't giving him a supplement for the fluoride to help his teeth develop stronger, it really saddened me. So I appreciate you all working on this. You know, as we talk about developing teeth, everybody thinks teeth are created equal. If a tooth comes in, it has all of its enamel. Well, that's not really the case. Teeth are not always formed correctly. They don't always have their full enamel. And so to have the strongest amount of enamel possible by fluoridated water really makes a huge difference as well. So again, thank you so much for moving this matter along. Thank you for having us at this meeting.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
I'm Pat Paloe, pediatric nurse practitioner.
Can you spell your last name?
Sure, it's P as in Patricia, O-L-O-W-Y.
Thank you.
And I worked in every corner of Buffalo all my career, and most recently at Maine Pediatrics. I would like to explain why primary care is a part of this whole picture. pediatricians and family care practitioners see children from day one out. And we spend a lot of time discussing oral care because we know how important it is to overall health and even to life expectancy. As Dr. Cryan said, tooth decay is the most common chronic disease of childhood. And so we spend a lot of time and energy trying to get our families to help their kids not develop tooth decay because it's almost 100% preventable. So we have a huge stake in this, and we see the kids early. We could have done the fluoride supplementation early. We could have done the fluoride varnishes in our offices for those kids who don't get to the dentist. So we work hand in hand with the dental community, and we are very invested in this. I'm gratified to hear that the fluoride is coming back to the city water by this year. But I would like to speak today about the city residents who still aren't informed. I don't think we have this right yet because the notification is not getting to systematically to every house, every apartment, every flat in Buffalo. I'm just going to say that again. The city of Buffalo people are not all getting this word. The water quality report goes to property owners who may or may not be city residents. The homeowners who are Buffalo residents may or may not read the report. They might not get this on the news. They might not get this on TV. I think the only way to get the word to all our people, to all our families, is to do direct mailings to every apartment, every flat, and every house. I also think we need to get out more PSAs and more press releases, and with the milestones that were mentioned earlier, but just keep this information coming because of the importance of oral health. There really isn't a reason to not keep the people of Buffalo informed and updated. A pending lawsuit cannot be used to justify keeping the public uninformed about the status of restoring the fluoridated water. According to the Federal Rules of Evidence, Rule 407, subsequent remedial measures. When measures are taken that would have made an earlier injury or harm less likely to occur, evidence of the subsequent measures is not admissible to prove negligence or culpability of contact and more. So it follows that you can speak freely to the people of Buffalo and as an essential service and a public trust, keep us informed. We need to know, we have a right to know, and you're the only ones who can tell us. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Board, did you have any questions? Or do we have that?
I have a question, but why wouldn't all cities want fluoride?
Most do.
Yeah, but why wouldn't all? Like Albany?
Albany had a mayor who was a fluoride opponent years back. So they have recently brought this before their council. And I'm not sure whether it was approved or not, but Albany is also an issue.
Just curious.
There are some communities that have well water, that don't have a water treatment facility.
Oh, okay.
So that would prohibit, and most of those communities know that they don't have fluoride if they have well water.
I got you.
So then they would use fluoride supplements, or their dentist would let their dentist know that they're not using fluoridated water. So, there's a few places in Erie County that are still on well water that don't have water treatment facilities. So, that's part of the reason. Probably rural America, you probably see less fluorinated, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't have it. It's probably they just don't have the infrastructure to support it.
If we could get your information not on public, if we can get your information so that we can keep in contact with you, so you can help us when we talk about making sure and getting that word out more broadly, we would love. Right.
I have one question. As far as understanding the methods in which, the enamel of teeth is formed and supported to be strong, is fluoride, in your opinion, the only way that tooth enamel can be supported, or is it also other diet-related things?
That's a great question. So right now, the studies don't show if different certain nutrients in our food or lack of nutrients in our food can affect the enamel, a condition we call enamel hypoplasia. The research that we do have that shows the integration of fluoride into the hydroxyapatite into fluorapatite, and the strength and resilience of the enamel has been proven. Topically, there's other mineralizing agents that can be used like amorphous calcium phosphates. Again, they're minerals, so they boost the pH of our mouth. Those are topical, however, they're not systemic.
Well, thank you very much. You guys can stay with us. I don't know if anything's any sexier down the list, but you're welcome to stay with us. If you would, really, we'd love to get your information.
Sure.
Without going all
That's
over.
the recent study that was done, there's my card. Share it, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I can email the study out to the board if you're interested.
I'm trying to pull it. Okay,
Thank you, thanks for the update, appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, if you can send their names. Make sure we got everybody.
We just need a contact, so it's on here, OW1. That's for the meeting minutes and.
No, I work out of North Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And then I oversee all the members that are members of the tripartite.
Okay, thank
Hey, Peter,
Unmuted? Ask away, go ahead.
just one question, because it's related to that, what she said. She said that fluoride actually alters the pH of the water.
For your mouth. What, I just said that, she clarified that comment because it did strike me. I thought she said in around their teeth. I don't know if there's some sort of reaction in there, but to my understanding, the fluoride ion itself doesn't adjust pH. It's how the ion is implemented.
Did she say around the teeth? Is that what she said?
At one point she did. I don't know if it's in the mouth. I'm not sure. Again, I would be there. I think you would, if you really want to get detailed, you would need to get your own professional opinion as well on that.
But our pH of our water, what is the pH of our water?
About 7.5.
That's
We're on the basic side.
Yeah, okay.
And we do
What's
have a lot of
pH?
dissolved minerals in our water naturally.
Peter will give you afterwards. You want 7 is neutral.
It's the amount of hydrogen ions in your water.
We will tell you later.
It's a concentration.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
You guys.
I don't believe there's anyone else for the public comment period, but if there is, if you could raise your hand in the chat and we'll allow you some time.
Chairman, not seeing any at this time.
All right, thank you very much. We will now move on to item number 4, staffing update. We'll start that with Mr. Merlo.
Thank you, Peter Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer. I'm going to turn over to Doug for the latest and greatest. I do know we had a meeting internally. We're looking to kind of start looking to see where we can adjust job specification and kind of ease some of the burn on some of these positions. I think we're going to start looking at position by position, especially with our operators. But I think we're always looking to do that, and I think we're going to try to put together a game plan. So we had a very productive meeting in-house. But in terms of the latest and greatest, Doug, I don't know if I know we have an upcoming meeting with the commissioner. I think things were moving, but I don't remember the details. I
Sure.
apologize.
So Doug Foltz, Veolia Operations. We did actually have a gain on labor this past month, so we did actually have a dispatcher and I believe 2 ACTs at Exchange Street. We are working with Commissioner and administrative staff in DPW to, as Peter noted, work through job specifications, see if we can right-size them and make them more appropriate for the current positions that are here at Buffalo Water. So we are meeting bi-weekly and we'll continue to push.
Great. Anything else, guys? All right, thank you very much. Okay, item number 5, Colonel Ward Pumping Station electrical improvements. We're looking for a project time extension. Mr. Merlot.
Yes, Peter Merlo, Principal Engineer, Secretary to the Board. This project is the electrical upgrade currently going on here at Colonel Ward. We're looking for a zero-cost change to actually push the completion date to June 2024. Between lead items and just construction sequencing, this project has taken a little longer. And you know, I've been hearing many extensions. That's the kind of the way of life these days, and it's just a function of the market. Our biggest concern and what you should be worried about is, are these contractors performing? If they're not performing, we're not going to be so liberal with these extensions. These extensions come in communication with the contractor and the consultant, and we're endorsing it, and it's been endorsed up to us. So really, again, zero cost. We're looking to continue. I don't know if Dustin, if you want to add anything, he's the resident engineer handling this as well. He's going to be handling the flood mitigation here on the ground. But anything you want to add to that? Otherwise, any questions, board? You have myself and Dustin available.
I think you covered it, Peter.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
So just authorization of the extension date, and this is more for formality and just to have it in the project to make sure that we're watching that, because in the contract doesn't have a completion date. We're going to be working past that, so we want to make sure we officially recognize that with a board action.
Good. All right, board, is there a motion to approve on behalf of the recommendation of our principal engineer in concurrence with GHD, the approval of an additional 121 calendar days for completion of the electrical project handled by Fry?
Sunderland, so moved.
Janine, second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any further questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Janine, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. All right, we will be removing item 6. We'll be moving on to item 7, various locations, time extension. Mr. Merlo.
Yeah, again, Peter Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer. Various locations. This is the project that's actually working on Memorial and in that area in and around those streets. Project is moving forward very well. We're just looking to extend the time on this one. I think they left the construction time a little tight in there. I think we all recognize going into this project that contract time for this one, because of material delivery dates, would be extended. Plus, this is the first time we're doing full lead service replacement into the homes. So the contractor is interacting with every resident potentially on these projects. So again, the contract is moving. I think turn over to Flood. I don't know if you want to add anything. We're at about 50-some% construction on that.
I mean, the major issues here were the lead time on the material, which we already discussed. And also we had to relocate our staging area to accommodate for the few festivals and events that were going on there.
We had a directional drill under the central terminal that took a little extra time, but was very successful.
And we've built great relationships after that, obviously, with all partners there. The project's going well. Services are being installed. Pipes installed almost everywhere around the central terminal except for Curtis Street itself. It's just a matter of...
That loop is back re-engaged, so it's a full loop. That was dead end on both sides for years.
So water quality is perfect then on that. That's good.
Yes. So what you're going to see is actually 2 items. We'll address them separately. This one is just a zero-cost change order to the construction date to November 26, 2024. You're probably going to see this on all our projects, just that they're going to be coming later because this one probably had the tightest construction window initially in the contract documents.
Let me ask you guys this. How are we keeping track of this? Like the effect of replacing all the lead service lines in conjunction with our capital projects fully, as opposed to how we were doing it in the past? How are we keeping track of that?
When you say keeping track how?
Just
keeping track of the infrastructure?
No, the additional time that it's taken as long as these projects. You know what I mean? As we're projecting you know, our 365 days or 270, however we do our projects with our engineers, how are we learning from that? I know it's new.
No.
It's relatively new to us.
I'm gonna give you real simple math. It took us about half the year, it took us almost a full construction season to get about half the project done. It'll take us another construction season.
I got that. I'm saying for the next project.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I thought you meant for this one. I'm like, I know it's not
I'm saying
that.
for the next project coming
Oh.
down the road. Like, how are we documenting, you
Well,
know what I
we're
mean?
doing
And it
this-
is taking us
We're actually,
40% more.
it's a great question. We're actually, there's also a very good benefit on this project. We overestimated every project based on unit quantities for service replacement, because we wanted to make sure we didn't run out of money.
Right.
So you're gonna see all these are zero cost change orders. We're actually looking to add additional streets to these projects to use that funding so the contractor doesn't come back. It's a good problem. So on that standpoint, we projected financially very well. The next project, they're gonna tighten it up a little bit. We met with our existing consultants to say, how do we learn from this? The biggest thing is gonna be how do we communicate with our residents, how we get access agreements signed, how do we get notifications? We're gonna be taking more and more responsibility from 120. 120 is really gonna be our compliance engine. They get the notifications out ahead of time, they're gonna be following up testing, and they're the ones that dot the i's, cross the t's. But we're still gonna use those for access agreements and knowledge of the system, but that's gonna be more focused on updating a database. The database will then feed our projects, and then our contractor is gonna have to put boots on the ground. We had to find ways. Most of these access agreements were closed at the time of construction. We had a very low hit rate ahead. We went overboard on it, but we're trying to evaluate the benefit of those actions and expenditures. I think we can remove some of the responsibility from 120. We're also looking at construction scheduling. How are we doing this? What are new materials? What are the costs? So we are learning. That's why you're going to see some of these consultants that make our list, they're on our list, make the next days, because I don't want to train new consultants next round. This is brand new business, and really, I'm knocking on wood. All our 4 construction projects are going very well. Otherwise, you would hear about it. I guarantee you.
That's a good thing. I appreciate it. All right, board, any further questions on this one? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve a time extension for 4th generation construction for our project in the vicinity of the central terminal? It has been recommended by our engineer on the job, CHA, in concurrence with our principal engineer. And that will take us through November 26th of 2024. Is there a motion?
Kelly second.
It's been motioned and properly seconded. Any further questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Kelly, aye.
Sunderland, aye.
Unanimous. All right, now we move on to various locations too. CA and RI, Mr. Merlo.
Yeah, we're looking, because again, when this is the construction inspection portion, this is for Clough Harbor. This is the consultant that is overseeing the construction of the project we just previously approved. They're managing the contractor, they're out there. We're looking for another construction season. When we estimated initially, we only estimated the one. I'm not overshooting it. I'm gonna rather come to you and increase my construction phase services as needed, because these services are directly tied to the length of construction. Contractors working, board, if I don't have an inspector out there, we can't do the job. They go hand in hand. So this is really just a continuation of the 2 phases for the construction management. CA, that's the office, that's the meetings, that's the interaction. This needs to continue at about the same rate. We may undershoot this a little bit because the meeting here has been a little more intensive. We met with the community. We actually approved rental offices after the fact as a change order, because we wanted a place the community could come to. We wanted to vet the issues there first before hitting the common council members. This was a lot of discussion that came after these contracts were signed in place. So again, that's the CA portion. This is all per diem. They're only billing this as needed. The second piece, that's the under 1,200 hours, that's the inspector. That's the guy on the job when the contractor's working, he's working. That's that time, that's a direct bill. So both of these, we are projecting about a 200,000 increase, 191, 159. You're going to see these coming on the next 3 projects. They have 1 consultant managing 2 construction jobs. So we have 3 more projects we're managing. Remember, we have a $25 million construction package on the street. It's about 1/6 of it right here. So we have 3 more coming. Again, no construction dollars increases, but we're gonna be adding, and I budgeted for increased construction-based services. You're gonna see about a couple hundred grand per contract coming down. That's typical for a construction season. Just just trying to pave the way as these questions come up. I'm always here, but I don't want people to be shocked. This is a good thing this was planned. We're on budget on these projects.
A question for you.
Yes, sir.
It's a general question. On some of these other contracts where you're requesting time extensions, and in any of these time extensions, do they have increased DA and RI?
Yes. They
but
go
you
hand in
prefaced
hand.
it. I know, but you prefaced it, it's a no-cost time extension.
For the
But-
construction contract.
So there
I
is,
apologize, but
So
this
this-
is but this was budgeted. Sorry.
so there is always a cost impact when you have a time extension. That's my question.
I would say mostly yes, unless you really budgeted heavy on your construction-based services up front.
So I think it would be helpful, at least for me, is that when you present those time extensions, to know what the effect is.
And I apologize. Typically, as you see, I've always brought these two to you many times hand in hand.
Yeah, you did.
With the construction time extension and a typical extension RI. So I didn't think it was a surprise. I apologize.
It's not a surprise, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly, is that there is a cause and effect. As you add time to something, there's always something else on the
Yes.
other end.
And
So,
I apologize. What I meant was
so,
the
let me ask you
particular
this.
construction contracts
Right.
are on budget, which is typically not always the option, and that's the $6 million portion. These are the construction, so I apologize that I misspoke. I was tunnel vision, but you are correct.
That's all right.
I will make
I'm
sure
thinking
I'm
about
clear.
this. I'm thinking about this on the electrical one. I think you brought us a CACI change order last meeting. They just didn't go hand in hand with this one.
The benefit of that one is there's a time extension, but we're not gonna see, we would normally see a subsequent increase in construction-based services for this. But because JHG is on that job and Dustin's gonna be managing the next job, we are getting benefit because he's gonna be managing that job and finishing this job at the same time, not double billing us. So we're seeing a benefit there because it's 2 projects that he's both managing. So on that particular piece, that's why it's not all the time.
Okay.
But 90% of the time it is. So again, I will be I have no
I'd just
problem
like to
providing
see
the
them-
info.
I'd like to see them hand in hand. Cause and effect.
Right. Now, the reason sometimes, like last meeting, I had the increase first and the time extensions coming second. The reason I do that is I explain the reason why, but if I can have the approval, because I have to increase that contract, there's time it takes, and waiting a month for that approval, isn't bad business for everybody. So if I can offer the explanation, sometimes I have to bring them to you separate, but as long as I can explain myself, I would hopefully that would still be an option. But anytime I can bring them to you together, I will.
Or even if you've got to preface it.
I will preface it.
All right, I think that works.
Thank you. Sorry, Bill.
That's all right. Board, we have in front of us, item number 8, which is a change order request for CHA, who is our engineer on board, for our various locations 2, for CA and RI, with the majority of this being construction inspection, in fact, 152,000 of it. So this is in the amount of $191,159 for this change order as outlined above, and is recommended by our principal engineer. Is there a motion to approve?
Sunderland, so moved.
Devine, second.
The motion and properly seconded. Any further questions on this? Oh, I knew I would ask.
One, real quick, Peter,
Sure.
this 191, the engineering services, is that coming out of the same funding source, the same account as the construction?
Yeah, what we'll do is those are both funded with bond funds. So it's not coming out of O&M, it's not hitting them. So when we projected and sold the bonds for this one, there is a piece of that construction because they recognize those construction-based services are part of construction costs. So what I typically do is budget a little bit for this in case we need an extension. And in that sale, we still have this. If you look at that bond account, there's still money in there for that we'd allocated. But again, I didn't encumber the contract when we first did it because initially it was design construction and we're guessing on construction-based services just to get a placeholder in there. But that really dictates about the amount of time that's invested in meetings, the time for construction, and that kind of becomes the natural. And that's me. My job is to keep you board updated, answer the question, bring it to you. So that's what we're here for, is for the, just to make sure we have proper communication. Thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Denine, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Osworthy, aye.
Unanimous. We'll now move on to item number 9. Mr. Merlo, that is amendment to our retainer agreement with GHD. Want to speak first?
Sure. Again, Peter Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer for the Division of Water. This is an increase to GHG retainer agreement. I think Board, we all recognize and kind of what they do. This kind of started and really as a twofold piece to provide oversight and observation services to help us manage our partnership with Veolia. Also to serve as retained engineer to kind of handle things for the board that fall through the loophole when we need those type of advisements. Also in terms of like rate adjustment, rate setting, process improvements. So it's really about those, especially this year and last year, with the board's effort to reach out social media wise, to really reach out to the community, meet with the public. There's been an extended effort beyond the engineering world, which is really where I see what they benefit us. So, and I know, Chairman, you work with them kind of directly on a lot of this. So I don't know if you want to talk, and I don't mean to sell it short. So I'm going to turn it over to GHG in a moment. I don't know if, Chairman, you want to talk about some of this and
I can
kind of
speak
let
on
them.
it after, but let's.
Because I want the board and the members to understand exactly what they do. You don't want to sell it here or oversell it either.
Sorry, Mr. Walpole.
Good morning, everyone. First, let me apologize. I'm not there in person. Last night was a little difficult. We lost power for much of the night and it was a long night. So thank you for allowing me to attend in this format. Thank you for considering our proposal. We, as Peter mentioned, I don't want to belabor it. We have and continue to provide a host of services, some which are very technical, some which are administrative, some which are public relations related and customer related, as well as some financial related tasks. In the proposal, we outlined a number of those just to support this discussion. But last month, I provided to the chairman and to Peter a longer, more comprehensive list of all of the things that we're doing, and which I can provide to the board members if you'd like. This year, as in recent years, the services continue to expand because our world is changing, regulations are changing, social media requirements are changing, public engagement is changing, a whole host of things in our new virtual post-COVID world, which you know, we're happy and humbled to help you all with. So I'll leave it at that. That's pretty high level. Be very happy to answer any questions. I will note that the value that we are suggesting of $250,000, that will likely get us to near the end of the year, but all depending on some of the ongoing activities, we may have to come back again, and that's kind of intentional so that you all have a check and balance to keep track of what's going on and to ask questions as you wish. So I'll pause there.
Stephen, it's Bill Sunderland. You had on that kind of what your rolling previous years were?
Yes.
Can you show that?
Yeah, let me, I think I put.
Helpful to me and probably the other board members.
Yeah, I put that in an email to the board. So it has grown little by little each year. So I gave Bill, I think, 4 years of history. I looked back in 2021. The total 12-month annual fee was $425,000. And this is all on a time and materials basis. So it's not exactly this number, but it's I just rounded to the closest 5,000 for this discussion. And it is important to note that if there is an allowance given, we would only expend based on the actual efforts used. 2022 was 450,000. 2023 jumped significantly because of many of the online social media, plus some other contract work, to 650,000. And now with this increase, it would be 650,000 as well, same as last year. It could sneak above that because we one of the bits of information that we provided, which you may not see, we have retained Ari Parsons, who is your public relations consultant. So essentially, the board is running those services through GHD. That will probably be 150 to 170,000 this year. That includes, which you have not seen yet, that includes 3 television episodes about the water system to try to engage and educate the public. And I know Portia's on the line right now. So there's a good portion of our fee that's simply helping to support the public relations, public engagement. We also, this past year, expended this past few months, about 20,000, almost 20,000, 19,000 for the emergency mercury cleanup on behalf of the board. And then some other miscellaneous expenses in terms of participating in festivals and tabling and buying some, pamphlets and T-shirts and stuff like that, again, to engage with the community. And then finally, the other new thing is that we are now managing and hosting the Get Water Wise website, which is still very dynamic and will continue to be updated as various programs and initiatives are rolled out. That will be the main portal for engaging with your customer base. So those are some specialty items, which in total probably will be 200,000 this year. So a large portion of this fee is those kind of pass-through expenses.
All right, thank you, Stephen. So we're just over here chatting about all the things we have to do yet, and all the things that we've done to date. And it is, we really thank you very much for being a partner and working with our team here, and just being an extension of Peter and all of the staff and Fuad and Violia, and just really working with us here. So we truly enjoy that relationship that we share, and we're thankful for everything you guys are bringing to the table. So, board, is there anything else to discuss? I know we're getting a little late. All right, so what we have in front of us, board, is a change to the contract in the amount of $250,000 for GHD, is recommended by our principal. Is there a motion to approve?
Sunderland, so moved.
Deneen, second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any questions? Hearing no further questions, all in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Deneen, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Osworthy, aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. All right,
Thank
now
you.
does that summarize your monthly report too?
Sure, I would just turn it over to John and Dustin and Ryan. I won't say anything more, so thank you.
I don't know, he wants to keep.
No, that's all right. I actually want to hear from John and Ryan and Dustin, so it's all right. We'll let you.
I appreciate the comment, though.
Yeah. No. John, go ahead.
Sure, great. Thank you. John Davis here, GHD Project Manager. Just an update on our community relations, public relations outreach efforts. For December, January, we completed the first quarter of digital geofencing ads, generating about 1.8 million impressions and about 2,200 clicks to the ads. We worked with OJ and the mayor on distributing the press release to announce Buffalo Water's plan to restore fluoride. That effort generated about 51 media mentions on TV, radio, online, print, and social media. We reached 394,427 people on TV. We reached a radio audience of 859,645 people, and online news audience of 299,976 people, and a social media audience of about 1.1 million people. Ari Parson also distributed Get Waterwise literature to 12 community centers and pantries. The list is as follows: Delvin Grider Community Center on Delvin Street, Group Ministries on Jefferson, Meriwether Library on Jefferson, Mount Olive Baptist Church on Delvin, Matt Urban Center on Broadway, Urban League Community Center on Pine, Bell Center on Maryland Street, Resource Council, Western New York on East Ferry, Urban Christian Ministries on Jefferson, Family Health Center on Dingen Street, Maston Resource Center on Fillmore, and St. Patrick Food Pantry on William Street. Last but not least, the first draft of the Get Waterwise show episodes. I just want to make a small correction. Steve mentioned that there were 3 episodes. There's actually 2. We were only able to get 2 from the content that we were able to get during the time of shooting, but the first draft looks really great, but it's not ready for you all to review yet. Portia did let me know they have reviewed the first draft. It's going back into editing, and it should be to you all to review, I believe, within this month. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, board? Hearing none. Next up, Ryan.
All right, thanks, board. Just quickly going back to the question in regards to how we're learning from this year's distribution project experiences, in support of and adding to Peter's response, having the strong partnerships is truly an important factor. We aren't waiting until these projects are finished to think back about how the process went last year. We're working between all partners, including engineering, Veolia and 120 Water, GHD, and field teams now. This will help build in efficiencies and also help capture nuances in future work. And this will help when building out the capital improvement plan as well as from the regulatory standpoint as we approach the deadline of the latest lead and copper rule improvements. So just wanted to touch on that real quick before moving on. We haven't had a whole lot of activity since the last board meeting. However, we have continued to analyze variations among the rates between Buffalo Water and neighboring authorities. I know that's been something that's been asked about the last couple board meetings. So just want to introduce what we have come up with real quick between Buffalo Water and Erie County Water. So if you look at table 1, I'll blow this up a little bit for everybody, but there's differences in how Erie County charges as well as Buffalo Water. And consumption, we just based that on an average usage of 17,500 gallons of water a year. So Erie County consumption charges are slightly higher, but the additional charges are less. So when we look at this, they're fairly close. Big difference is Erie County's done various rate increases more recently, where you guys haven't had a rate increase since 2019. The other limiting factor is Erie County has other revenue sources, such as wholesale and things like that. So they're not passing as much on to residential customers as you may have to, because you don't have the commercial and industrial sources of funding there. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I'll circulate this to the board members as well afterwards, just to get more feedback. And if you want us to look at anything further, please let us know.
We appreciate that, Ryan. Ryan, I know one of the things that I saw when they pushed out was we were off on our average usages. Did we normalize those?
Yeah, we tried to normalize that as much as we could, just because they present everything in gallons as well, and we're usually presenting in cubic feet. So that's why we went with the average of 17,500 gallons of water a year.
Okay.
Hey, Ryan, still Summerlin. Looking at the revenue type, why does it say for Buffalo, commercial, industrial, NA?
So the reason being is because in the customer information system, we don't actually separate those out. We look more just at consumption versus meter charges. So the customer classes aren't really broken down in this revenue. And Damon Sykes, if you're on still, if you want to add to that, but that's why we just said residential and then left commercial and industrial NA. We don't have a separate tier for those either.
Ryan, what is considered miscellaneous revenue then?
So that would be more charges that you take for like hydrant permits and things like that. So field services. So as you're billing for those external services, those become miscellaneous revenues.
And Brian, this is Lisa. You factored in the most recent rate increase and those average bill amounts?
Yes, Lisa. Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make certain. And Erie County, just so you know, 10% this year.
Yeah,
Almost
another one
10%.
as of now, right? I think that just
Yep,
went into
got the
effect
bill.
January of 2024. Yeah.
Got the notice.
So, and Erie County also has some fees that go to taxes. So they get revenue streams from taxes versus,
sure
you know,
do.
everything is on the water bill here for Buffalo. So again, when trying to compare apples to apples, it's not as cut and dry as we would like it to be, but you know, we'll continue to keep our eyes on this. And like I said, if there's anything else anyone would like us to take a look at, I'm happy to do so.
No, we appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. Hey, Dustin?
Thank you, Chairman. Dustin Steiner, GHD. Continuing with the electrical capital improvement project there at Colonel Ward. Some of you are aware, if you're not, we received a notice to proceed for the flood mitigation berm project. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled next. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Chairman. We have a pre-construction meeting next week scheduled, continuing to represent you with the weekly meetings as the Centennial Park, Ralph Wilson Centennial Park project is ongoing, and various other, activities around the plant. And that's all I have today, Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. I say that because we all get to look out this window and, it's looking serious out there. Looks like the winds have changed direction. I know they were coming out of the southeast yesterday. It ain't looking like southeast today. So.
Here we go. It's a great place this summer.
Yeah.
Different place in the winter.
Different place in the winter. Now it's starting to snow too. Look at this. This is great. All right, we're gonna end this quickly. All right. JT, thank you very much. We'll move on now to Violi.
Thank you, Chairman. David L. Violi, Water. I'll make it quick. Affordability programs, promise pay for the month. Page 2 of the board report has collected nearly $700,000 to date. Page 4 of the board report, the LIWA program, we collected nearly $3.6 million today. We had a very nice contribution this month of $545,000.
Now, I got a question on this one. Was that the 415 that just went out? But we added an additional like 1,300 people.
This was the leftover. We got a call that they had leftover funding in the LIWA program, and they wanted to split it amongst the individuals that we had already helped.
Right.
So
it was 415.
Well,
that's what I thought Damon had reported last month was like 450.
Okay. Maybe.
But then I'm looking at it and we have total customers 4,000, and I think we were at like 2,800 last time that I looked. So that's good. I mean, that is definitely a big boost up. I know, this is a conversation we've been having. I know you've seen it on AWWA. We're still petitioning New York State to see if they can do it. Had a conversation yesterday with the White House. We're still pushing it. We're pushing it. We got it. That is a program that has to be funded. And it has to start, if we're saying how important water is, it has to start at the federal level. And, just looking at our state as a whole, OTDA has, does their reports. $328 million was distributed for HEAP just in New York. $328 million over 1 year. That was just for 2022. Whereas the LIHEAP money that New York State received was $69.8 million, and that has been distributed. But that was over a 2-year period. We received 69, and we're able to distribute that. Whereas coming from the federal government, the HEAP program that we are continuing to push for to have an identical water program, distributed $328 million to those in need. And so that's the importance there. We really got to continue to push. We got to continue to advocate for it. and we see its effect on our customers. I mean, we have over 4,000 customers. You know, we start looking at 8% of our customers, and I'm sure we could double, probably triple this number for those in need, for our low income customers, so. I didn't mean to take.
No, that's fine. No, it's a good segue into actually the final program, the East Side Homeowners Assistance Fund program. It's delivered 3.9 million to date. Now Damon did receive a call from the administrator in the past week or so, and they have made a request for us to not publicize this due to the fact that funds are being tapped and it may be in peril of, I guess, not being funded as long as we thought it would be.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the message we're getting. Is we thought it would be funded through
Which program is this?
August, the East Side program.
So should we just pull the date off, or what do we say? We'll let you guys handle that.
We'll figure something.
We're experiencing some technical difficulties. I'm going to have the board rejoin the meeting and continue on. Please hold tight. Thanks.
Yeah, that has to work. Okay.
Live funding was the last thing that they had.
All right.
Noted.
So,
Everybody, we're good now.
we thank
We're good now.
everybody
Thank you.
for your patience. We are not muted? All right. We thank everybody for your patience, as we were just had a little snafu here technically. We are back. We've heard from, our friends at Veolia, as well as finishing up, our report from GHD. And at this time, board, we are seeking to move into executive session. Is there a motion to move into executive?
For the next meeting?
No. Is there a motion to move to executive session to discuss litigation matters?
Sunderland, so moved.
Denine, second.
The motion properly seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Sunderland, aye.
Denine, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Nasworthy, aye.
Unanimous. All right. We will move into executive session, and following executive session, we will, we expect to adjourn the meeting. Thank everybody very much for your attendance and for your time.